It could soon be easier to fine companies that bombard consumers with unwanted cold calls. The government wants to lower the threshold above which the regulator can take action against them. Rogue firms would be more likely to face hefty fines for breaking the rules. Sky's Fraser Maud reports.
The telephone is something few of us can live without. The same can't be said for unwanted cold calls. Now the government's planning to crack down on the nuisance callers who frustrate and annoy us. More than 120,000 people complained to the Information Commissioner's office about getting unsolicited marketing calls between April and November 2013. Ofcom also received more than 2,500 complaints about silent or abandoned calls in January this year. Companies currently face a fine of up to £500,000 for making unsolicited marketing calls. The government consultation will look at increasing that maximum penalty. Since January 2012, the industry has been fined more than £2.5 million. It's something everyone's got an opinion on.
I don't know how to get your number half the time, because when I go shopping now I don't give the number out to anybody, but some companies must sell them to some other people and they're just a nuisance.
I get quite a lot to us home. Gets to a point where I don't actually answer my home phone unless I can see on the number, you know, who it is.
You just don't know who's at the other end of the phone, you don't know if they're genuine, you're giving information to whoever.
To avoid the calls, you can register with the telephone preference service, but even that is no guarantee that your phone will stay silent.
Companies that don't screen their data against our database, if they're making outbound sales and marketing calls, are breaking the law. They should, and they shouldn't make calls against that number unless they have permission to do so.
I was getting around 20 cold calls in an average month, but on some bad days I could get 20 in one day at some point. It was ridiculous.
Lee Beaumont was so fed up with the cold callers, he now uses a premium rate phone line, so that when he gets an unsolicited call, he makes money.
What I've done is I've set up an 0871 phone number. When cold callers call me, it costs them 10 pence a minute if they're ringing off a landline, and I make 7 pence a minute, pure profit. 7 pence a minute just for answering the phone.
So you actually quite like cold calls now?
I love cold calls, I want them to call me.
Call centres like this one in Leeds employ around 1 million people across the UK. The group which represents the telemarketing industry in this country, the Direct Marketing Association, agree that it's unacceptable that anyone who's registered not to receive unsolicited calls should still receive them. They say they're as keen as anyone to weed out the rogue callers so that they can start to address the issue of the industry's tarnished reputation.
What they are doing is very, very broadly making very small steps in the right direction. What they are not doing is recognising that over 10 years the existing structures have failed and radical action is necessary to address this problem. It's not going to go away as a result of what's been announced today.
The new rules could see firms that break them being fined 20% of their annual turnover. But with many cold calls being generated from overseas, our phones may still keep ringing. Fraser Maud, Sky News, Leeds.